Hello, welcome to my session. My name is Nikki Bradenberg, and I am the Director of Education at Montana PBS. This session is all the feelings, social emotional learning with PBS. I want to first show you this link to get these slides that I'll be presenting from. It is case sensitive, so bit.ly/ all capital letters PBS lowercase feelings, PBS feelings. So I'll give you just a few seconds to go ahead and type that into your browser. I have embedded a lot of links into these slides. And throughout, I encourage you to click on things and open up other windows. So you'll definitely want to get these open on your device and save them to your Google Drive so that you can refer to them later. I'm going to move on, but I continue to show the link for the slides on the next few slides. So if you're still trying to put it in, it shows up right here, and I'll continue talking while you're doing that. My name is Nikki, as I said. I am a former elementary school teacher. I taught in Bozeman for most of my career. And then in 2017, I got the opportunity to step into this role at Montana PBS. My work is focused largely on teachers and teacher professional learning. Digital learning and media literacy are the things that we support teachers with. I get to do everything from go into schools and work with teachers in their classrooms, to host after school events, to host larger events like ed camps, and do virtual trainings and online things for teachers. I also oversee the production of resources on our free website for teachers, PBS Learning Media, and I'll be showing that to you in a little bit later. This is all of my contact information. I've also put the link to my YouTube channel, not because I'm like a famous YouTuber or anything, but we've really curated quite a collection of training videos on that channel. Everything that we did this summer, last spring, the workshops that we've conducted are on that channel. And so I think it's a pretty good resource if you're looking for some, self-paced, consume wherever you happen to be professional development. So find me on YouTube. I won't tell you to like and subscribe because I always think that's cheesy. People say that. So you can also find Montana PBS online. As I said, a big part of our mission, especially in the last 5 years, has been supporting teachers and providing teachers with resources and professional development events that supported them with media literacy and digital teaching. So you can find us on all of the social media platforms. We also have a Facebook page for teachers. It's a closed group, and you can ask to be added to that group. It'll give you some questions to answer, and then I will add you. So we encourage you to find us on that Facebook page. We also, on our website, have some things that you might want to check out. This is the link to our website, montanapbs.org/education. But these images are all linked as well. And if you click on them, they'll take you to some different things. The first one is the Montana PBS Media Lab. The YouTube channel I was just talking about has the workshops that we taught last spring and this summer in the Montana PBS Media Lab. And that was a series of virtual events where we had teachers from all over the state present a workshop about a single digital tool that could be used with students to produce media projects. And we gave them like really hands-on training, encourage them to practice and play, and then create something right there in the workshop. And so we recorded all of those sessions, and they appear on my YouTube channel, but they also appear on our website. And if you click on this banner here, it'll take you to that website where you can see all of those recordings. We covered iMovie, Do Ink Green Screen, Pixton, Canva, Keynote, Procreate, Chatterpix, PicCollage, just a whole slew of digital tools where instead of a workshop where we spend 30 minutes going over 30 tools, we spent 2 hours going over one tool. So it's a nice in-depth look at those things. We also host ed camp events for teachers. We try to host 2 a year, one in person and one online. We've already had our in-person event by the time you watch this recording, it will have taken place in Missoula for pre-K through second grade teachers. But we're holding an online ed camp in the spring for all teachers. Anyone who works in education can attend our online ed camp. And those events are free, and we offer OPI credit for attending live or online. And then we also like to give you prize and send you home with fun stuff. So stay tuned to our website or our social media channels so that you can get registered for that later this spring. We've also got a series of videos that come out every Tuesday called Tech Talk Tuesday. And this is a collaboration with Montana PBS and Idaho PBS. And we pre-recorded some short videos about technology integration and using digital tools in the classroom. And they're kind of a mix between podcast and webinar style, but they're short and they come out every Tuesday. And those can also be found on YouTube. If you click this image, it will take you to the playlist to get that collection of videos. So right now, we're going to be talking about social emotional learning and resources to support social emotional learning. So let's just take a minute and think about your own emotions right now. How are you feeling? Put your number, the number that corresponds with your feeling, or the one that is closest for you, in the chat box right now and share. Or if there's another adjective that you would like to place in that chat box, go right ahead and do that. And just take a moment. Sometimes we just need to name it and put it out there. And there are a lot of ways we can have kids do that by just showing us on their fingers, or in a digital setting like this one, type it in. It's pretty easy. So Montana PBS is the only PBS station in Montana, as you know. Maybe you don't, now you do. We are also responsible for distributing PBS content through our broadcast signal across the entire state of Montana. So my work needs to touch as many teachers in the state of Montana as possible. And one thing that I'm always really proud to tell people is that all of the programs, the Montana PBS Kids programs, were created with social, emotional, or just general learning goals in mind. And this is a list of programs that specifically were created to support social emotional learning for young children. And so you can see here on this graphic, it lists the program on television, the age group, the target age group that this program was meant to reach. And then you can tell that most of these social emotional learning is the key learning target for all of these. And what that means is these shows, a single episode can take up to 9 months just to make a single episode. And that's because they start with the learning goal. They consult curriculum experts, they consult people who research child development, and they develop a script and a storyline. And they run all of that by several focus groups and experts. Then they create all of the graphics and the music, and they put it all together, and they put that in front of focus groups, including children and families and educators, as well as curriculum experts. And then they make all those changes, and then it's finally ready for air. So nothing is fast in the PBS world because they put a great deal of time into each and every episode. So I would encourage you that as you're thinking of finding programs and things that might support or give you resources to use with students, you might look at these programs and some of the resources around them to help you support your young learners. So right now, let's just think about what you're already doing. You know, what tools or resources, tech or no tech, are you already using to support social emotional learning in your classroom? And just put that in the chat box. So while you're sharing, I'm going to talk about first this website. And I did another session, recorded another session that you may or may not have watched, or you've seen this before, but this is a site for teachers, and it's called pbslearningmedia.org. This is a collection of PBS resources from stations all over the country that are uploaded and created to this site, and they are made specifically for teachers pre-K to 12 to use in their classrooms. Every station in the country contributes content to this, including our station, Montana PBS. The site is free. You can sign up either with your Google or Facebook credentials, or you can use your email to sign up. And these are all of the things you're going to find on the site. Not just social emotional learning, there's a lot of in that category, but you can also find math, literacy, social studies, STEM, all kinds of great content areas are covered with all of these types of resources. Video is probably the most searched type of resource on the site because it's PBS. So a lot of PBS stations have taken their documentaries and their programs, and they've either put the full length film on there, or they've edited into clips that are easier to use in the classroom. So PBS Learning Media has a couple of collections that are specifically geared for the socially emotional. And I'm just gonna go through some of those collections and share them with you. And I really encourage you, as I'm talking, to do your own exploring, your own sharing. Hopefully you have these slides up on your computer and you can click on things as well. Arthur is here because he's one of our characters from a show that is really devoted to social emotional learning. And there are a lot of great resources focused to Arthur. And then this collection here that I'm just going to click on and let you see is called Pre-K through 12 Resources for New School Routines. And this was developed in 2020 to support teachers who, in the pandemic, as I'm sure everybody has experience with this lately, where maybe you have kids at home and maybe you have kids in front of you and maybe you have kids who are quarantined, maybe you're quarantined. And so PBS has tried to put together some resources that could support your lesson planning in a school year that's unpredictable. So you can search over here by grade level. One thing that has been really popular are these learn along bingo packets. And these are fun activities for elementary school students in KK or grades 1 or grades 1 and 2. And the way this looks is it opens up into a PDF like this, and it could be printed and shared with kids print, or the individual pieces could be put into Google Classroom or Seesaw. And so the kids might work through this bingo chart to do these different activities, and the preceding pages have those activities. So nice center work. These pages could be set up at centers, and the kids could take their bingo sheet and move along through the centers. There is some social emotional bingo ones. There's my family and me, my family and me. There's caring for each other, celebrating fall, being kind. So family storytelling. So there's a few bingo packets for those social emotional categories as well that you can find there in this new school routines collection. So then the other really great set of resources are these two things. The first one is called A Trusted Space, which was actually developed for teachers to reflect and think about their own well-being, because the idea of us being able to support children in their resilience is to make sure that we can cultivate resilience in ourselves, and to really think about what we've all been through and the trauma of a pandemic and how that has changed teaching and learning, and then to have some valuable tools and strategies for continuing. And so this film called A Trusted Space is on PBS Learning Media, and it was intended for teachers. But it was also intended for teachers to possibly sit with peers and colleagues and watch together and then discuss. It's about 43 minutes long. and it features experts in the field of education and child development. And then it also has the testimony and stories of actual teachers sharing their stories of the frustrations of teaching during the pandemic. In addition to that, there is a whole curriculum that was developed to go along with this film for supporting children and creating this trusted space in your classroom to help children heal and persevere through these challenging times. And so, and there's strategies and lessons and things that you can do in your classroom to create this trusted space where kids feel safe again, despite all of the things that they've been through. There's also some recordings of an event that PBS National hosted for teachers about this. They did a co-viewing with a group of teachers, and then it facilitated some discussion around the film. And so that is also there in case you wanted to see what that discussion looked like. The other resource that's great is the PBS Teachers Lounge, which is a blog that is kept up pretty frequently with posts from teachers all over the country writing about up and coming issues. And this one right here, 5 Ways to Reduce Stress and Feel Like Yourself Again, is a really powerful post with some very accessible strategies for self-care and supporting your own emotional growth. These are some other resources, and so I'm going to kind of walk you through how to use the PBS Learning Media site to find resources for social emotional learning. And we'll come back to this slide and I'll talk about these too. So if we go to pbslearningmedia.org, this is our main page. I recommend signing in or first signing up and creating your own account. It is free. You can use Google, Facebook, or email. I use my Google credentials to sign in. And now I'm signed in, and that means that I can save things and I can use some of the other tools that are available if you have an account. You can still see everything on this page without an account, but you can't save anything or do any of the interactive pieces without being signed in. So you would come to subjects up here and click on this arrow. And you can see there are a couple places you can go. You can come to this preschool area, and I know what you're thinking, but I don't teach preschool. I got that, me neither. But you can still get there if you come to the preschool area. And you can see where it says social and emotional development. So knowing you don't teach preschool, but you can just click on that. And you can see that now they've taken social and emotional development, that big, broad category, and they've broken it down into these sub areas where those might be the specific things you're looking for. And they've cultivated, 348 videos that teachers could use in this area. But you can use these filters here and you can search by grade level. So if you are looking for actually grades 6 through 8 in this category, now we have something that falls here. You can unclick things if you want to just open things up that way. The other thing you can do is if you go back to subjects and you come over here to health and physical education, and you come down to a couple of categories: personal, mental, and emotional health, or self, family, environment, and society, or skills for healthy living. All of those topics will bring up resources for you. So we'll look at this one, personal, mental, and emotional health. And now we have some things that teachers of older students might find useful. And we also have it broken down into these categories: relationships or safety, all through there, just like that. So that is how to search for those types of resources on PBS Learning Media. I'm going to go back to my slides and then just show you 2 collections that exist. So this one is just called Social Emotional Learning, and you can click on it right from my slide there, or it would probably come up if you were to put it in the topic search. And this is another one that this one uses the core competencies of social emotional learning, self-awareness, self-management, and gives you videos that show lessons that are being taught with the core competencies in mind. So this is probably this is a great collection that you could use with grade level teams or with your whole school to really dig deep on how to integrate social emotional learning into your regular routine. The other one, and this is mostly for younger kids, but it's the Teaching with Tunes collection, which is a collection of songs taken from PBS Kids programs and put right here and categorized by subject. And there's a social emotional learning section right here. So if we want emotions, identity, or relationships. So emotions pop up here. And here's a lot of songs from our PBS Kids programs that help kids with their emotions. You notice a lot of them are from the popular program Daniel Tiger. And for those who aren't familiar, Daniel Tiger is a spinoff from the Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood show. And Daniel Tiger encounters problems, and a trusted adult talks to him about his problem and gives him a strategy song to sing, so that when Daniel encounters that problem again, he can bring that strategy song with him to help him solve his own problems. And so a lot of those strategy songs appear on this website, and teachers really enjoy bringing those into their classroom to help their students start to problem solve on their own. You can see there's also some brain breaks. So if you wanted a break from Go Noodle, or if we're looking for something a little bit different, there's also things that are meant to be brain breaks, nursery rhymes and sing-alongs. So other fun ways to support kiddos. 3 more collections that you want to work through: the Kindness in the Classroom collection, Move It, and then Transformative Teachers. All of those are collections on the site that are devoted to social emotional learning. Kindness in the Classroom, I think, could be titled a little differently because it's hard to know exactly what is in here. But there is a lot about mindfulness and guided breathing activities and supporting children through those types of lessons. And so for that reason, I think it's definitely worth checking out some great strategies in that one. The Move It also uses this idea that movement, physical activity, and nutrition can help us feel better. And so it's got some nice self-awareness and talking about yoga. And sometimes when we guide kids through things like setting goals or breathing, they can feel more in control of whatever it is that is bothering them. And then Transformative Teachers is another collection designed to give you tools and strategies for fostering resilience and leadership skills in young people. And these are, again, these are videos that you might watch with a team so that you could implement these types of lessons in your classroom. And you can kind of see these things happening in action in real classrooms. And sometimes that's exactly what we need, is to just see something in action for a little bit. The next one is the AIM Buddy Project. So this is a great Arthur activity, and this can be used in a variety of ways. It was originally created to be a buddy program between older students and younger students. So I think the ideal age range was 5th grade and kindergarten, or 4th grade and 1st grade, that kind of combination. And it was meant to pair an older student with a younger student and then give them activities and things they can do as they were cultivating their relationships. And so there's a full educator's guide that would walk a teacher through how to implement this program at the school with videos, and then the media and the little games and activities that the students would do together. But I have seen this collection used in a lot of different ways, and guidance counselors especially really like this collection because of these interactive comics. They are really fun digital kind of choose your own adventure, click through the comic and speech bubbles come up, and we watch Arthur have interactions with his classmates and his teachers and help him make the right decision. And then there's discussion points about how we can help Arthur make better decisions. So these interactive comments, and they have them on forgiveness and honesty, generosity, learning from others. These have been really popular with teachers to use on a regular basis, an ongoing basis, to talk about these general topics, or to pull out of the toolbox when you see students struggling with this, and give them a situation that can begin a discussion about these ideas. So that's the AIM Buddy project. And for some reason, it's just not showing up on my slide. There it is. We'll keep going. The other collection that we're really proud of here at Montana PBS, because we've had a small hand in this one, and it's called a Meet the Helpers collection. So the PBS station in Central Florida created this, and they were inspired by Mr. Rogers' quote about, when scary things happen in the news, my mother always told me to look for the helpers because there are always people helping. And at the time that they started developing these resources, the Pulse nightclub shootings happened, and then a little boy, I think, was attacked by an alligator, and there were all these just scary things happening in the community. And they realized that the way they could help was to give families and educators some resources that would provide them with the language to talk to little ones about what they were seeing in the news. And so they've created this collection of resources called Meet the Helpers that showcases different helpers from the community. And they're talking to the child, describing who they are and what they do, how they help the community, and then how the child can help them do their job. And they started out with just, your basic helpers, the firefighters and the police officers and the doctors. But over the years, it's grown to bring in the pandemic and the importance of hand washing, to talk about the coronavirus, and to provide the language to talk to kids about what this means. What is social distancing? How are we helpers when we're doing that? There's also, we've got counselors, 911 operators, meteorologists, paramedics, police officers, scientists, teachers. So this is also a really great collection to use when you're talking to kids about careers. I know career readiness is a big part of our new standards, and helping kids see all of the careers that are available to them. And so line workers is one that maybe a child hasn't had a lot of experience with, so we've got that there. It also has our scientists, so we can talk about how scientists help. The piece that we were able to help with at Montana PBS was they did an actual research study about a year ago, determining, they really wanted to know is, do these videos help children feel less fearful and anxious about the scary things that happen in their community. And so we were one of the research assistants, and we got to work with a small group of kindergarten and first grade students and have them watch the videos and give them a pre and post assessment to determine if just watching the video helped them feel less nervous about the things that they saw in the news, specifically about these topics, and raise their awareness of what these jobs were. And it was part of a national study. In the national study, the results were that yes, simply just watching the video did help students feel less fearful and anxious about scary things in their community. Now, add that with a discussion with a trusted adult, or a lesson, and an engaging lesson in a classroom, and we know that that's just going to go up. One of the things that we got to do, because we participated in that project, was we got a little bit of money so that we could create some videos of our own about Montana helpers. And so I'll show you where to find those. If you go to our website, montanapbs.org, and you come up to where it says education, and you find here where it says Meet the Helpers. right there. And you click on that, you'll see our Montana helpers. And so we made 2 of our own videos. This one is about search and rescue and about rural firefighters. And our intention with this was because forest fires are something that Montanans experience every year, this year in particular, and that often is quite scary for young ones to think about what that means. And so we've really showcased our rural firefighters and what they're doing to help. And because our communities are active and our children spend a lot of time with their families outdoors, camping and hiking, and maybe there's this fear of getting lost or being unsure of what happens if you were to get lost in the woods, we have this nice video with a man from the search and rescue team talking about his work and what they do and how they help. So we hope you'll maybe find a way to put those resources into your discussions or to call them up when these scary things are happening to help kids feel a little less nervous about what's going on. So another great resource, and this is for our pre-K, K1 crowd. So if you teach older than that, you can just maybe have a listen. But this is a free resource called Sesame Street in the Communities. And I'm not going to play the video because I can't guarantee it's going to sound good. But I highly recommend clicking on this link and watching it when you're not in this session, because it tells a really compelling story about why Sesame Workshop created these resources. The Sesame Workshop has done a remarkable amount of research in creating content that supports young children and their families and the educators who work with them. And so that's what this website was really meant to be. It is a free website full of resources, and I'll just show you what it looks like. So if you click on Big Bird there, it'll take you to the website, and it's called sesamestreetinthecommunities.org. Right away, it's going to ask, are you a provider or are you a parent? So I would highly encourage you to share this with parents as well, because there is a lot of resources for them here as well. So you click provider, and the website is a single page with the tiles with things that you can kind of look around and grab. So it features activities, things that you or parents might do with children. It features some professional development for our early child educators, webinars and courses. And then if we come up here, we can search by topic. So these are all of the different topics that are covered on this site that you can look for. So you can see we have resilience, we have traumatic experiences, we have violence, there's family caregiving, financial education, foster care, any kind of situation you might see your students in, there will be resources to support children learning through play, literacy, math, it's all there. So one of the other things you can do is come down here and search by age. So you can go age 7 to 10, 0 to 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 6. And look for things there. You can search by time. Very few websites let you do that. So you think about how much time would you have to work with a child and do something with them. If you know you don't have much time, you could go with this 1 to 4 minutes if you're looking for something quick. But then you can also search by type. So there's going to be storybooks, videos, printables, articles. And interactive is a game. So if you're looking for digital games that a child could play on the computer or a tablet, you can find them here. So that's how you can search. One of the beautiful things about this is that there's also all these other PBS stations that are connected, and Montana PBS is going to be added to this soon. We were able to host some workshops devoted to just helping teachers learn to navigate this site. We reached about 100 professional caregivers and educators last spring, helping them use this site and exploring the resources. We did all of those virtually last year. We got a grant so that we could host them. It was very successful, and we plan on doing that again. So stay tuned to our website and our social media this winter and look for opportunities to go through our training just on Sesame Street in the communities. Two other sources that I really love sharing with elementary school teachers is Life's Little Lessons from Daniel Tiger and When Something Scary Happens. And all of these live on the pbs.org website, pbs.org/learn. And this uses Daniel Tiger. And it has created some really nice lessons on these big topics. Take a look at mad feelings. And it gives you a nice, some things to watch. An episode, a clip with the strategy song, and then a clip of some preschoolers demonstrating the strategy song. Then it gives you a printable or digital PDF with teachers' tips on how to support kids around this topic, a classroom activity that you can do, and then some things to send home with your families to extend that learning at home and to help families continue to do this. The other one that's along the same lines and is organized the same way is When Something Scary Happens. And this one combines Daniel Tiger as well as Arthur. And this is, again, thinking about along the lines of the Mr. Rogers Meet the Helpers idea is when scary things happen that we aren't prepared for, and we wouldn't have guessed that that was going to happen. We need to be able to give kids things to think about and tools at that moment. And so this gives you some resources for finding helpers, telling someone how you're feeling when you're afraid, and lend a helping hand. Really nice pictures with accessible activities and resources for supporting kids around emergencies in the community. We also recommend this website, PBS Kids for Parents, and this is again for parents of younger children. This is a free website that, while it is for parents and it's called PBS Kids for Parents, there is such a wealth of information on this site that I think is useful to anyone who works with kids ages 2 to 8. For the very reason, because coming up here, we can search for things by the child's age, and we can go all the way up to age 8. And then within that age, we can search for things according to underneath of those social emotional categories. So the topics for 8-year-olds, as far as all of things over here, creating a gratitude jar, encourage the kind impulses. And while these things are written with parents in mind, we've had teachers and daycare providers tell us that it's really offered them some useful resources as well. I can also go a little bit more like 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds in the area of literacy. So if you're looking for things to send home for parents to read or think about, so there's some activity suggestions, there's some digital game recommendations, and there's some articles that maybe you'd like to print or send a link home with mom or dad or grandma or grandpa to give them a little bit more information. The other great thing about this site is if you come up here to play, they've got coloring pages and crafts and games, but recipes. And I love the recipes because I think when we encourage people to cook together, conversation happens. You know, we're doing something. I know I always got a lot more out of my kids if I have them playing with Legos or helping me cook in the kitchen. We can have deeper and richer conversations. So along those same lines, here are these recipes that are connected to our PBS Kids programming. So there's some follow-up that focuses on that, but it provides you with the ingredients and then picture instructions about how to do this together, step by step. So we could definitely use this in a small group if we were working with younger kids, or another one of those buddy situations where an older kid supports a younger kid. But all those ideas are there under the play section. Now, if you've been with me and you don't teach young kids and you're watching this, you may have checked out by now or even left this session. I hope you're still with me because we do have resources for older children. Obviously, social and emotional learning happens at all ages. And so I'm excited to share some of the resources that are collected with our tweens and our teens in mind. And this collection, Above the Noise, is a digital series that you can watch on YouTube, but also appears on PBS Learning Media. And there are two collections that are directly related to health and well-being, and then talking about COVID and Gen Z. So just click on those pictures right there and it'll take you to the collection. This is the health and well-being, and these are videos, and these are fun and fast-paced, and there's a lot of images and a lot of references to popular culture and music. The host of the show, Miles Best, is that fun, cool guy that everybody wants to be friends with. And so he does a really good talking to kids on the same level in a different way that adults will. And so it takes these sort of big questions that teens and tweens might have and helps begin those discussions, and goes into, is video game addiction real? Suicide prevention, how can schools help? Screen time, how much is too much? So it's important to kind of let them, I think it's important to bring this up, let that start the conversation, and then build from there. So these resources have the videos. Then they also have an educator guide. So it provides educators with a lesson plan and some activities that they might do to use this video in their classroom, as well as some support materials for students. It's not clicking. There we go. A classroom handout. So just something that students could fill in and write about as you are watching the video. It even has some pause points with some questions associated with each of those pause points. So a neat guided viewing activity that goes along with that topic. The other organization that has devoted a great deal of time to supporting our older students with mental health is the PBS NewsHour. And that program, you could go to PBS Learning Media and look for PBS NewsHour, and there's a great collection of daily news story lessons that allows you to teach about current events using clips from the PBS NewsHour. But beyond that, there's a group that has branched off from PBS NewsHour, or as part of PBS NewsHour, called the Student Reporting Labs. And it was a vision of allowing teens and tweens to create media and tell stories. And often those stories are featured on the PBS NewsHour. And as this program has gotten off the ground and has grown, they've seen the importance of just how powerful it is for kids to tell their own stories and for kids to be involved in the production of journalism and media making. And so they've created some of these really powerful video collections of teachers or students talking about how COVID has changed their lives, how COVID affected them and the things that they went through. I think for me, it was important to watch some of these videos and to hear the stories of these students because it helped me build stronger empathy toward kids. I knew my own experience as an adult, but it really helped for me to hear about what some of these students are going through, what they went through early in the pandemic and what they continue to go through. But I also think it's important because it comes with discussion questions at all. So there's as well. So we could have students watch these things and then use that as a place to start the discussion about the similarities that they feel and the way they may or may not identify with these stories. They've also developed a podcast called On Our Minds. And they found two extraordinary teenagers, Noah and Zion, to host this podcast. And it's all devoted to teen mental health. And it's a student-led and student-produced podcast about these mental health challenges. And again, I highly encourage you to just listen, no matter what age group you work with on a regular basis. I think it's so important to hear these stories and to hear the conversations that these two teenagers are having, because you will approach teens in the grocery store differently, I promise, if you hear some of this. It's very powerful. They did just a series this spring and produced these stories. They're free. You can find them wherever you find your podcasts, or you can listen to them right here on this site. But it's just such a powerful resource for our teens. That collection that I just showed you was part of a larger movement called WellBeings, and it was also produced by the station that produces the PBS NewsHour. And this is a movement to travel the country and talk about mental health in general. And the goal was really to remove some stigma behind mental health. And so they gave grants to a number of stations to host virtual town hall events where they brought in experts about mental health and allowed local communities to have some conversations about mental health. And it was part of this caregiving project. Montana PBS was not a part of the project, so we didn't host any of these. However, a lot of them were recorded, and you can watch those here on this site. What I think is really exciting is they have found all of these films that were focused on mental health, and they have linked them on this page. And so if you are working with older children and you're looking for a film that you might show pieces of, or the entire film to begin some discussions about this topic, this is a great place to start, is to find some of these films and to get in here and watch. But there's a lot of resources on this site that I highly recommend just spending a little bit of time on this. The tour, as I said right here, because these are all virtual, you could watch them from anywhere, but they're being held in all of these different states, and they're bringing local experts to come up and talk about some of these really hot topics in health or in mental health right now. So that's another website I encourage you to explore and check out for your own professional learning, as well as for supporting your students. I see this whole presentation hopefully as just adding to your toolbox. I think we never can be 100% prepared to support the emotional strength and growth of our students. We don't know what they're dealing with until we know, right? And so I often felt like when I was teaching that I just needed a toolbox, that when this happened, I had something I could pull, and I could let that act as a starting place for me as I worked with these kiddos. And so that's what I hope some of these resources have become for you. Another program that I want to talk about is our media literacy certification for educators. I feel really strongly about the fact that media literacy is a key skill right now in supporting people for managing their emotions and navigating their own mental health. I think what we see in the media and online has the potential to trigger adults and children in a lot of different ways. And so giving people the tools to sift through the misinformation or to read things with a more critical eye, I think is an invaluable skill. And for students to develop these skills, teachers must develop them first. Teachers must feel really, really confident in their own media literacy competency. And so that's why PBS has created this self-paced program for teachers to earn media literacy certification. It is 8 micro-credentials that teachers earn. It's connected with the website Digital Promise. And so you log in and you upload, for each micro-credential, you upload an instructional plan, some student work, and then a reflection about teaching that lesson and how it went for you. These are the topics that you cover as you are working through these micro-credentials. When you finish this, you are a media literacy certified educator. There are 50 of them currently. This program's been around for about 3 years now, and there are 50 student or teachers in the country who have earned this certification. And I'm proud to say that 10 of them are right here in Montana, starting with this one right here. This is Sarah Dahl. She's a teacher in Livingston, and she was the first teacher in the state of Montana to become media literacy certified. The reason we have 10 teachers in Montana who have finished this is because we have a support program in place for teachers. We host an online cohort for teachers to earn these micro-credentials with our coaching and our support. And we spread each micro-credential out over the course of the school year. So we focus on one a month. We host a Zoom meeting where we talk about the micro-credential. We show you examples of past pieces that have been awarded the micro-credential, and we help you brainstorm how you might teach that lesson in your classroom. If you'd like to join our cohort, you can click on this link right here, and you can be added to our list. At the time of this recording, it's August right now, so we haven't started. But if you're watching this, it's October. I'm talking to the future right now. We will have had 2 meetings already, an informational meeting in September, and then the unpacking of our first micro-credential in early October. But we record all of those meetings, so it would not be hard for you to get caught up. And you aren't required to attend live. You can just watch the recordings if you want to. We also give OPI credits to teachers who participate in our online cohort. And we have a grant that allows us to provide small stipends to teachers who finish and give us feedback about their experience. So I think media literacy is strongly connected, as I said, to social emotional learning, and I would highly recommend you get involved in this program. The teachers who have finished it tell us that it was rigorous, it was challenging, it definitely helped them bring their skills to the next level. It wasn't one of those one and click and you're done certification programs. It really is deeper professional learning. But they also felt like they did build competency in media literacy, and they are teaching with a stronger media literacy lens than they were before they went through the program. So I hope you'll consider it. At this point, I'm at the end of sharing my resources. I would invite you to put any questions you have in the chat box, and I'm there answering things virtually, and I'm happy to share anything else I can with you. I really appreciate your time today. I hope, like I said, you've added a few things to your toolbox. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for all the work you put into your classroom and supporting your kids. Montana PBS salutes you and is here to support you in any way that we can. Thank you so much for coming to my session today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.